Corruption, the thing every politician promises to fight until their cousin lands a $10 million government contract to consult on why grass is green. But here's the twist. Corruption exists everywhere. In the US, it's called lobbying. In Nigeria, it's just called Tuesday. Let's break it down. What is corruption? Officially, corruption is the abuse of power for private gain. Unofficially, it's paying extra so things that should already happen actually happen. And corruption comes in flavors, like a shady ice cream truck. Bribery, like slipping cash under the table to get your driver's license before you can actually drive. On the 1st of February 2025, the Central Bureau of Investigation arrested the chairman and 6 members of a National Assessment and Accreditation Council (NAAC) inspection committee over allegations of bribery for a favorable NAAC rating. The agency conducted raids across 20 locations in India, including Chennai, Bangalore, and New Delhi. The bribes were allegedly given by office bearers of a Guntur-based educational foundation which operates KL University. University ratings were for sale. Nepotism. My son, the minister. In the U.S., a 2012 Inspector General report found Justice Department executives colluding to hire their own relatives into cushy jobs. State capture. Entire laws for sale. A 2015 document leak reported in The Edge, Sarawak Report, and The Wall Street Journal showed that Malaysia's then Prime Minister Najib Razak had channeled over $700 million into his personal bank accounts from 1MDB, a government-run strategic development company. Lobbying. Bribery with a LinkedIn profile. Jack Abramoff was a lobbyist who worked the Native American tribes, casino interests, corporations between the late 1990s and early 2000s. He and his partner Michael Scanlon set up a scheme where they overcharged their clients, especially the tribes, and then secretly took kickbacks. They also funneled money for grassroots campaigns, PR, and perks for politicians, meals, trips, gifts, in return for favorable treatment. He bribed public officials, provided things of value, golf trips, luxury meals, etc., to influence votes and legislation. So how common is corruption around the world? Measuring corruption is tricky because it usually happens behind closed doors. The people involved go out of their way to cover their tracks, so you rarely find official records. One way around this is to just ask people. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, measures corruption by compiling national surveys that ask people if they've ever paid or been asked for a bribe when dealing with public officials, whether at the doctor, the police, or for documents like passports. The results reveal stark contrasts. In much of Europe, fewer than 1 in 10 report bribery, while in some countries, over half say they've faced it. Corruption also hits businesses. Firms may be asked for bribes to win contracts, get licenses, or dodge regulations. World Bank surveys show big differences. In many countries, fewer than 5% of firms report being asked for bribes, but in others, it's over 20%, and in a few, more than half. Like with individuals, these figures likely underestimate the true scale, since companies may hesitate to admit it. So the pattern looks like this. In poor countries, you bribe cops, doctors, teachers. In rich countries, you donate to politicians. And suddenly, oil pipelines are rebranded as green energy. Same corruption, different dress code. Let's check Santa's naughty or nice list. Every year, Transparency International ranks corruption. Top of the class, Denmark, Finland, Singapore. Bottom, South Sudan, Somalia, Venezuela. Basically, IKEA versus failed states. Denmark scores 90 out of 100. Somalia, 9. Yikes. Looking at the data, rich countries do better against petty corruption. Rich countries, fewer bribes for daily life. Poor countries, bribes just to get running water. But wait, the US isn't bribery-free. They just upgraded to Lobbying DLC Pack 2.0. Bribes are cash under the table. Lobbying? Cash over the table, with receipts, press releases, and lobbyists in $1,000 suits. And if you plot it, GDP versus corruption, richer countries do better. But not always. Saudi Arabia? Rich, but still shady. Estonia? Not rich, but surprisingly clean. So maybe it's not just about money. What about population size? Does size matter? Not really. The scatterplot looks more like confetti than a trend. Big countries like the US or Japan can be fairly clean. Tiny ones like Equatorial Guinea can be very corrupt. So size doesn't matter. Then what is it? Is it institutions? Slightly. Here's the kicker. Every country has anti-corruption agencies. India has one. Nigeria has one. Even Venezuela has one. So why do Singapore and the Nordics actually succeed? Because their systems and culture make corruption either too costly or too shameful. Singapore said, "We'll pay ministers' banker salaries so they don't need bribes. And if you do take one, jail. No exceptions." They've locked up cabinet ministers. Their secret weapon? The CPIB. It doesn't answer to some random minister. It reports straight to the Prime Minister, and if the PM tries to block it, they can even go to the President. They can dig into anyone's bank accounts, raid overseas deals, and even treat unexplained wealth as proof of corruption. Basically, no one is untouchable. The Nordics went the opposite way. Tiny, tight-knit societies, where if you cheated, your grandma's knitting circle would find out. Plus radical transparency. Sweden made government records public in 1766. The Nordics don't rely on fear. They rely on sunlight. Budgets, salaries, contracts, all public. And culturally, they live by janteloven, a code that says, don't think you're better than anyone. So if a politician shows up flexing yachts, instant career over. See, corruption doesn't vanish. It evolves. Level 1, bribery. Chaos, no receipts, cash in envelopes. Level 2, lobbying. Same corruption, but now with receipts, tax deductions, and lawyers writing the bribe for you. Cleaner, maybe. Better? Not really. It just favors whoever can afford the most lobbyists. That's why the likes of Singapore and the Nordics are special. They didn't just outlaw corruption. They rewired the incentives and built cultural guardrails that made corruption socially impossible to sustain. So, is corruption beatable? Not fully. It just mutates, from envelopes to lobbyists, from handshakes to PR campaigns. But the real winners are countries that built trust, with strong institutions, and cultures that punish shady deals. Modern problems require transparent institutions. Subscribe, or I'll hire a lobbyist to make sure YouTube hides this video.